I'm Allie Wolff. I'm here with
Taylor Cawley.
Taylor. I think one of my first questions, and this is coming from a non-horse family, always curious about people like yourself coming from a horse family. What was that like growing up? Was there pressure to ride, or did you just want to follow in your mom's footsteps, or was there a passion there as well?
I'd say all of the above except for the first. There was almost pressure for me not to ride from my parents. I think they know the ins and outs of the sport so well, just living in it, growing up in it. Both my parents also coming from horse families in the past. And I always had the option to ride if I wanted to, but it was never pressed on me. But once I made that initial commitment, it was hard work through and through. I had ponies that I took care of and kind of got all of the barn experience. It's funny, there's a video of me that my mom shows everybody, and it's me at home when I was 3, and I'm hysterically crying, screaming that I want to go to the barn. I want to go to the barn. And I think that pretty much explains my childhood. I always wanted to be at the barn. I never wanted to be at school or hang out with friends that much. And I just wanted to be playing with my ponies and playing with the horses in the barn. But yeah, I think getting that kick off when I was young of the hard work beats talent always, really has stuck with me through my career so far, and I think will stick with me throughout my career going forward.
And is there, a positive aspect to having riders in your family, and then maybe what's maybe a hindrance of having your entire family in the riding as well?
I would say coming home after a show day, them knowing what they're talking about is a great thing, but them also knowing what they're talking about can be slightly detrimental sometimes. But in all seriousness, I think I appreciate so much that they've both taught me, both my parents, my grandparents on both sides, kind of knowing, I feel like I've gotten a lot of the historical aspects of certain shows that I've gone to, and really gain that level of respect for them. My mom showing it, for example, the National Horse Show, I feel like is a big one, that my mom showed in first in Madison Square Garden, and then when I moved to Kentucky, she showed it both places for the McClay final, and then moving up into the jumpers as well. But that was one that's really stuck with me that, she's gotten the whole background of, and she showed there. So showing at a place like the National Horse Show was, I got that kind of kick to really strive there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say that's probably a good one. Okay, my question to you. When you competed in your first Nations Cup, what was kind of going through your head in a big moment like that?
Don't let my team down. I was, it's such a different structure and feel and pressure riding for yourself versus riding for a team. It's one thing if I made a mistake as an individual. I own that. That's on me. If I made a mistake on behalf of the team, I let the team down. And I really just didn't want to disappoint. And so that was always in the back of my head, knowing that's not a healthy thought to carry into competition. And my trainer, Michelle Grab, at the time, she was great in helping me just focus. She kept saying, you know what, just go in and ride your ride. Go in and ride your ride. They chose you because of the way that you go in and do everything, according to you and your horse's plan, and stick to your own plan. Don't think about anybody else or what they're doing. And I think that helped tremendously. And, the team was so supportive regardless. And it just creates, I think, just this idea that you are supported either way, and you get the experience to go in, mess up or do well, and feel that pressure, live with that, be okay with that, and then it actually makes you hungry for the next one as well.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I hope I get to do some of those Nations Cups. And did you compete at the Young Riders or any of the Young Riders developing?
I did. So I did one very early on. Very early on. I think that it was 2007. It was in this tiny indoor in Virginia. And it wasn't as big a deal. Like, it kind of went in waves, the young riders. So, like, a few years, like, it wasn't that big of a deal. Other years, it was huge. It was built. It was outside. And these couple years, they didn't really have great, really a lot of interest from people. So we were combined zones. It was like zone 4, 5, and 6 or something. So we gained great experience, but we were a 3-person team. And unfortunately, one of our teammates fell off in the first round, so we quickly became individuals. I think I finished 4th that year, and then I came back, I think, in 2010. Date check me, but this year, that time it was in Lexington, Kentucky, and Wolff Jr. was doing the courses, and it became a big event again. And that was the second year that people started taking it very seriously. The water jump was now a big thing again.
Yep.
And I think that was such an exciting year because, I won that, and our team was silver, but I just remember the whole riding for the team thing. It was my last year as being eligible for riding in the North American stuff. And the first day I had 2 down, and it was, like faults converted, I think. And I think I finished 25th after the first day. I was so disappointed. It was my last year. I thought I had a good shot. I had just started stepping this horse into some bigger Grand Prix. And, after day 1, we were like, well, should we just go home? Like, that was so terrible. And Michelle's like, no, we have to ride for the team. Like, you have to at least stay for the team day. And I was like, oh, yeah, I totally forgot about team day. I will 100% stay for team day. But I am, completely out of the shot. And then the following day, we had the first team competition, and we jumped clear. And then that night, it was under the lights, and we had our second team competition, and I jumped clear. And I ended up being, I think, the only double clear of the team event. And that propelled me to, I almost think I was maybe now first in the standings after that, or 4th in the standings. And, of course, then we got really excited again.
You're like, now I'm staying.
Yeah, okay, I guess we'll stay for the final. So then the last day, I think I came in as 4th. I jumped my first round, and then I ended up in 1st. And that pressure going into your final round in 1st place, knowing you could go nowhere but down.
Yeah.
I just stayed by myself. I didn't let my parents come see me, and luckily we pulled it off. And it was just I think that was such just a relief. It was of course amazing, but as a competitor, when you win big events or you do well, it's extremely gratifying. Yeah. But it's almost like you built everything up to this monumental occasion that it's almost just like a breath of relief.
It's like, thank God it's over. Thank God.
It's just like I delivered. Yeah. I did my part, and I'm now at peace. And that, to me, I'm not a big emotional person, so I think that to me would be somebody screaming at the top of their lungs saying they won an Olympic medal. I was just like, that was good. That was my moment. And so that was very gratifying. Yeah. And staying on the same page, though, have you started competing in that?
Yes, I have done previous states and young riders. I've done 2 different levels of the young riders. I've done the children's division and the junior division. I did those back-to-back years. So I think doing the children's division, which was only, I think, 125, I had a super experienced horse Quintago VA, or Taco, who I loved. And he had jumped major Grand Prix with Uma O'Neill, and he had a resume longer than I can even list. So I think going in on a horse that had those kind of accolades behind him in a smaller kind of team competition like that was a great way for me to start, because I, by nature, am a very emotional person. So the highs are high, the lows are low. And he was kind of my steady. Like I always knew he was going to do his job, and I just was there to have fun, basically. And I finished bronze individual that year, which was amazing.
Awesome.
I was so happy with that. And then the next year back, I had my mare, who I still have now, Crelentia.
I remember this one, actually.
Yeah, you were commentating.
I think I commentated.
Yep. And I was like, oh boy, this is big. I was like, this is huge. I was like, where's Taco when you need him? But that also was a really good year. I remember the first round, it was a speed faults converted. I was like going like a nice clear round, and then I remember I had the wall down, and there was a big oxer after that, and I was nervous about it. And I remember I was like, shoot, I had that down, and then I was like, oh God, there's a huge oxer in front of me. And I got jumped so loose, and then like almost fell off, but cleared it somehow thanks to my horse, and then finished up the whole round without stirrups. And then I was like, how am I supposed to go into this team round right now? I was like, this is gonna be either really, like, I'm gonna be on top of the world after this, or I'm gonna be like buried in the dirt somewhere. And I remember I was clear in 4, I think, the second day, which moved me from low on the standings to up like 10th, I think.
The team events really can propel you quickly.
Yes, especially with the double points and the whole team. And I remember my team finished second that year, which was great for all of us. And I'm still very close with all the people on the team, which is really nice. And then the individual day, I was like, okay, it's either up or down from here, but I'm happy with either result. And I remember I was double clear in both rounds, and I want to say I finished 5th, which was I was so happy. I was like, but it was great for my whole team. And I think having that experience in the Youth Nations Cup kind of competitions is, at least I think, I haven't been on any of the senior teams yet, but I think it's going to be a great experience for me moving forward, and having some of those pressure positions that I had to be in was great. And then this year at Prix States, I won the first day, which was a speed, and then I remember I had not a great first round of my team event, and I was an individual, so I didn't feel like I was letting anybody down but myself and my horse, which is, it's a different kind of feat, I feel like. And I remember I was like, I want to go home. I was the same kind of thing. I was like, I want to go home. And I remember I talked with my team, and we were like, just finish up strong, like prove yourself, ride the round. And pretty say it's same round, everything like that. It was maybe an hour apart, and I remember I had a clear second round, and I had one down the last day, so I didn't come out on top, but I felt like I had won a different kind of competition, like with myself. So I feel like both experiences, either when you're on the top or when you just have like a win of your own, it's like, I'm sure you know, it's two different things, but it comes out as the same kind of
And that's,
feeling,
I think, where the emotional aspect of it comes from. You know, like people see riding horses, and it looks physical. You know, it's a physical sport, and graceful at times, and
sometimes
at times, and you kind of forget about the mentality of it. And everybody talks about golf being such a mental sport, and I think it wasn't until that like it was still it's still so young that people started talking about the mental aspect and the mental component of riding. That should be literally in any sport. And so I think it sounds like that hurdle, like that type of a hurdle, is just so monumental as well. It's like so important, especially to prove to yourself, not just to others, and you think like, okay, I think I did a good job. And that's just such a confidence builder. Are you the type of person that does better from having a lot of like great rounds going in, or like do you think you perform better when you've had like a bad round and you need to like prove yourself?
I want to say I'm an underdog. Like I like to kind of crawl my way back. I like the fight. I like I feel like I get if I have a consistent amount of good rounds, I feel like I get comfortable and I can perform well, but I feel like it's a different kind of, I want to say it's like a fight mode that I get into, not more of a physical fight, more of a mental fight that I get into. So I'd say probably a kind of crawl my way back kind of person. How about you?
I definitely the same way. I mean, I like, you know, one of my ultimate goals as a rider is consistency. But with consistency, I think my biggest fear is complacency. And so I'm just always like, if I'm having a few really great rounds or classes, and, you know, many years ago, I was just like, oh, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. And if it happened, you know, and it wasn't just like 4 faults. It would be like the entire course down, or like I fell off, or something to that degree where it's just like, I knew it was going to come. And, you know, playing with that mental aspect and working with a sports psychologist, I'm just like, okay, I was just focusing on the negatives. Like, of course, I was manifesting a negative. So, like, of course, it was going to appear. So that's still one of my goals, is to figure out how to maintain success without having that fear that, like, at any minute, you know, the other shoe could drop. But like you said, I'm a scrapper. Like, if I have a bad round, I'm almost like, okay, good. Like, this is what I needed. And I want to get to the place where I don't need that, but I can still mentally create that for myself to go in there and fight, even when I've, like, won Grand Prix after, like a Kent Farrington, you know? He's won Grand Prix after Grand Prix after Grand Prix. It's just like, okay, like, how do you keep the hunger? How do you keep the fight when you're on top and there's so much to lose? And not as much to gain, except for just, you know, consistent results. So that has always been a goal of mine. Yeah.
I'd say one thing that another one is Nina Malave. She's been, I think this was her 11th or 12th consecutive clear meter 60 5-star Grand Prix in a row. And I, like, strive when I see that, it's like a push. It's like I strive to do that. And Kent Farrington winning 5-star Grand Prix after 5-star Grand Prix, like, I get so invested into it, and it carries on in my day-to-day ride. I feel like after I see inspirational people like that, I flat my horse is completely different the next day. There's always a motive, there's always a drive, and I think at least I've heard a lot of people, they're like, oh, once you win the Olympic gold medal, you retire. And I think it's so different coming from somebody who would be in that like in that position, because honestly, right now, looking at it, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd retire too. Like, how do you get better than that?
Right.
But I think
you win too.
Yeah, exactly. You win too. And that's kind of the mindset that I remind myself every day of. It's like, there's always a next step. There's always more. There's always someone who you need to work harder than. Like, there's always kind of that drive, I feel like. I don't know if you feel that way too, but
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and speaking of goals and stuff, what are I guess I kind of divide them, because, you know, you can have a long-term goal, but you need short-term goals to get there. So what would be like one or two like long-term goals, and then some of those short-term goals as well?
I look at my goals a lot. Recently, I've been looking at my goals as shows that I would like to attend. I'd say Geneva and Aachen are big shows that I would love to attend one day. I think the atmosphere you can't find that anywhere else. I'd say a couple short-term goals would be, I'm going to school in August with Auburn University. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
And I think now that I have stepped out of the equitation, I really am looking forward to quality versus quantity, and putting all of my time and effort into the horses that I have, and looking for, maybe it's not winning classes, but looking for that consistency in the right way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd say kind of putting my all, knowing every detail about every horse that I ride, and looking at kind of the detailed part of it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of my life has been catch riding and going from one thing to the next, and a little bit of the rush and the riding different horses all the time. And I think that has taught me so much, and now I want to look at like the detailed part of it and focus more on the behind the scenes work, like in the barn, taking the time before I go to school, and then I'll be back and forth from school.
I really like that answer too, because I feel like it's not a very generalized goal, you know, like make a team, go to the Olympics. You know, I really appreciate that it's like a fine detail, and the fact that you can see the detail, especially for someone at your age, and the fact that you want to hone in on like the detailed aspect, and just like you said, the quality over quantity. I think that's missed by a lot of people just because they have such a big vision, which is important. But I think that they miss the picture. They miss the little details about how to get there or what it actually takes to get there. So that was a really kudos on your answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I have another question for you.
Okay.
So, talking about school, it's kind of switching gears a little bit. You know, you're going from multi-ring, competitive animals that are built and ready to be show jumpers, strong equitation horses, beautiful hunters. And now you're going into more of like a team setting and a collegiate atmosphere where the horses are still great and nice, but they're not catered to you. They're not bought for you. They're not tailored to you. And now you actually then have to almost change your mold to fit them. Is there something that you are looking forward to being able to take away from this experience? And then also maybe like, is there something that is making you a little bit nervous about it as well?
I think, especially back when I was in the ponies from catch riding so many different ponies, I was very fortunate to have very nice ponies, sometimes past my capability at that point in time, which was a lot of pressure that I think I learned from. Also, being able to ride with immense amounts of different professionals and hearing one thing said in a million different ways. I always thought about it as every time I get on a new horse that I don't know, I look at my bookshelf of every piece of information that I've ever been given and try to take away things that are suitable for that horse. And I think that that's something that's to be taken away in the collegiate riding, because when you go to the different schools for the team meets, you're drawing a horse, you have, I believe it's like 4 minutes to get to know that horse on the flat, and over a few jumps, and then go in the ring, which is similar to USET finals, the Final Four test. But it's very fast. It's not like you have a week with the horse or even a full day with the horse. It's 4 minutes or 90 seconds, or so really being able to focus on trying to get the most amount of information on the horse that you have in that little amount of time, which is both exciting and a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But I think also another thing, like I was talking about with my short-term goals, the Auburn equestrian team, it makes hard workers. It really strives for, you braid your own horses. I don't know how to braid my own horses, so that's something I'm gonna have to learn.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, you're building the courses, you're dragging the ring, you're doing all of kind of the grit, the hard work.
You are working out extensively as an NCAA athlete.
Oh my gosh, 5 a.m. workouts.
They're
going to hate to see me coming. No. I'll be like asleep in the back somewhere. But I mean, it's true. Like, you know, it really teaches you the day-to-day life of the horse world and the not so glamorous parts of it, I think. You know, you see all these, I've gotten to show it shows like Denard and Shanti and Wolff, they're all very glamorous shows. And there's so much more like hard work and grit and dirt that you have to kind of dig yourself through to get to the end game. And I think being able to do the collegiate riding and hopefully coming back to kind of the more glamorous sport horse world that we have is going to be something that I'm going to have to learn the back and forth to, which I'm looking forward to.
That is true, yeah. So you will be going back and forth, showing, and then go back to the... And I feel like that actually will, I think, assist you in, again, like, I love that analogy of the bookshelf. I think that'll put more books up in the bookshelf for you. And you were just saying you catch ride so much, and I think that is exactly preparing you for college. So that's very interesting. I was always very curious about the collegiate teams and the inner workings of how that happens and stuff. And I think it also takes like a rider with a lot of feel, because most of these horses are still nice and maybe in their prime, but donated sometimes for a reason, or they're a little bit tricky. They didn't get along with somebody else. So you don't have, you maybe don't have the equitation type. Like you're gonna have like a thoroughbred jumper off the track made into an equitation horse. Like 4 minutes. Here you go. Yep. Have fun.
Have fun. Exactly.
How do you make it quiet? How do you make it pretty? How do you maybe it's not the scopiest animal. Like, how do you clear the fences still? So I think that actually, like, that aspect is what I love to watch about collegiate riding. And I think that's really what separates the riders from, those that just want to ride in school versus the actual, the riders. So I think I think you're going to shine there. That'll be exciting.
So. And also, another thing that Taylor St. Jacques actually told me, she went through the whole kind of equitation career, if you will, the whole period of the equitation. And she said when she went to school, it was so interesting to have all of the people on the sidelines rooting for you instead of against you, which I think if you're in the equitation world, it's hardcore.
It is.
And I think that's something that I think will go up to the Nations Cup level, hopefully with me, is having the people that you can trust in your corner, and just kind of proving to you that there are people that are rooting for you behind all of the noise. Like there are those people in your corner.
Especially in such an individual sport.
Yeah.
That is the one part that is lonely about this sport, is that you are an individual, which is great, and I say individual loosely because you have a team between you and your horse, a team between you and your managerial or managers, and outside team behind the scenes that nobody really gets to see. So that in itself is a team experience, but really a competitor team experience is, I miss that from like playing other sports where you have all the same, it's two teams, that's it.
Yeah.
You either win or you lose. And so I always kind of miss that aspect of the riding, and I think that's what I love so much about competing for something, for a nation, for your group, anything. So I think that's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing that you brought up about the team aspect.